I don't want to hear anything more about NFTs, by the way. I'm over that whole craze.
So was it a non-fungible
token?
Non-fungible.
Oh, you should like that fungi.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't think that's the same word.
Oh, there's actually an NFT for what is it, like fungus and plants and stuff.
Is there?
And I was like, there is, yeah. I came across it like a month ago.
Be perfect
I was like,
for a Dear Patrick.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, I'm okay. I think I'll stick to my
actually
Spider-Man
Pat's
NFT.
Secret Delibird gift.
I hope so.
I forgot to put my pop filter on my mic. Don't worry about it. We are recording, but who cares? This will just be part of the podcast.
Are you guys ready? I'm
ready.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want the pops coming through in the podcast, so I'm just gonna try to put this
I
up.
don't have a pop filter. Should I go like?
No, just listen. I don't have a filter either. It gets
I took off my pop filter. I think it's included in the mic. I don't know actually, but it also came with a pop filter, which I took off because it was done.
Matt will get his shit together eventually, apparently, as he literally strangles his own microphone with that.
It really doesn't want to stay up. That's why I hate this pop filter, and I keep
You
saying I want a
know,
different
a
one.
lot of men have that problem.
You see Matt be like,
meditation
let's
for
not do an impromptu thing, and then it spends like 10 minutes.
This is what happens. I don't know if you guys listen to the podcast, but this is what happens in the beginning of basically every episode.
Listen, I listen to almost every episode. I didn't listen to the last one because I didn't have time recently. But
I love that.
Most definitely not listening to this because I hate my voice.
Oh, well, that's what Pat said in the beginning when we started like recording podcasts, and now Pat listens to every episode too. So
yeah, but I'm kind of forced.
You gotta get this.
Like it's kind of my job.
Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of a new podcast that we're hosting called "What Do the Two Gays and What Do the Two Straights Think?" Yes, I'm renaming the podcast now because we, for the first time, have two straight guests as opposed to our normal guests who are some form of queer. So here we are. What do the two straights and two gays think? Today with me, I have, as always, the lovely and endearing Pat. How you doing, Pat?
I don't like the rebrand. I think this is very much like Facebook becoming Meta. I think it's really just a grab to kind of diversify and, you know.
And also rebranded as three white guys and one Asian guy.
Actually, there's two Asians here. For anyone on YouTube looking at the video, there's actually two Asians here. Matt, anything to say about your Asian heritage?
I did Ancestry DNA, and I do not have any Asian heritage, even though it may look it kind of. I still don't see it, honestly.
But do you want to have some Asian in you?
I mean, I wouldn't care if there was Asian in me.
Me neither.
You basically get that already, don't you?
Me neither. Anyway, today
I need to intro the other two people here, Pat. Don't go into.
That's what I was gonna do.
Oh, okay, fine. Go ahead.
Oh. Today, we don't have Jackie, which is sad because Jackie's the only one that actually does this podcast routinely. But that's just because Jackie likes to spread themselves all over the internet.
Get their juices everywhere.
Oh, God. Here spreading themselves for the first time and possibly the last time because of, this is going to be a traumatic experience. In alphabetical order, there's Anthony, and in next alphabetical order, there's Jon. Welcome to this moment. Welcome to this groundbreaking achievement. We're finally balancing the scales with heterosexual and homosexual.
I thought the meme was tip the scales.
That is the meme.
It's time to tip the scales. Wait, do you know where that's from?
Absolutely not.
Then don't use it. Get it out of your mouth.
It's a Fire Emblem meme. Most people in our podcast probably don't know what that meme is either.
Most people?
Yeah, most of our podcasts. How many of our podcast listeners do you think actually played Fire Emblem?
How many listeners do we have?
Not me.
That's the real question.
I haven't played Fire Emblem.
Listen,
I am not a listener.
I looked at our podcast on Spotify, the Spotify rap thing for our podcast, and it said that we have 21 fans who listen to our podcast more than any other podcast. So, at least 21 people.
And one of them is not me because I listen on Apple, so...
There we go. I listen on Spotify.
You really got to be the odd one out. Spotify is so much better.
I don't know why. I don't know why I listen to on Apple actually. I have to rethink that.
He's a fanboy.
Yeah. Well, they own my life.
You gotta stick with the brand.
So, in case anyone doesn't know, Anthony and John are our friends from high school that we still talk to this day, to this very day. I don't know
We
how.
only talk though. We don't do anything else. We just talk to them.
What do you mean?
We don't hang out. We don't vibe. We don't chill. We just talk.
Well,
that sounds kind of sad.
Well, because Anthony's a billion.
Because I don't live near you
I am
guys.
also- I
Well,
am
John,
half a
you're
billion.
also not that close. Let's not
I said
lie.
half a billion. You said a billion. I said he's a billion. I said half a billion.
But
True.
it's still, you can still drive to John's house. It'll just take like a couple
You
hours.
could also drive to your.
We could also drive there. It'd just be awful.
oh my god, we live in different parts of the universe, honestly. Anywho, what are we talking about today, Pat?
That could have been a good segue.
The universe.
Oh,
multiverse.
you're right, yeah.
That was the
Almost-
plan all along.
Was it?
Okay. As if we're planning this episode beforehand, right? Spoiler alert, we're talking about No Way Home, Spider-Man. So this will be a complete discussion of the film, so don't listen to it if you haven't seen it, or listen to it if you don't care, or listen to it if you have seen it, or just put it on in the background, mute it, just so we can get the stream count, and then come back later and listen to it again. That's really it.
Oh yeah,
Smart.
like if you are going to see No Way Home, then come back to this episode after you've seen No Way Home, and then give us your opinions as well.
Right.
Yeah, start us
Sure.
off, Pat. Start us off.
That's right.
All right. So first, what did everyone think of it on a scale of 1 to 3 Peters? 3 Peters being the best, 1 Peter being okay, and no Peter, I guess, would be awful. Matt, what did you think? 1 to 3 Peters.
You're making me go first? God.
You're already spoiling it. Just kidding. We're already.
We already said
I
spoiler
know.
alert.
There are more than one Peter.
There is more than one Peter.
What was the scale?
1 to 3 Peters. Peter 1, Peter 2, and Peter 3. Did you not watch the movie?
I did. I told you I
But
watched
which
the
one
movie.
is Peter 1? Which one's Peter 2? Which one's Peter 3?
Tom Holland is
Oh.
Peter 1, Tobey Maguire is Peter 2, and Andrew Garfield is Peter 3.
Well, I will give it 3.5 Peters because
Wow.
I'm sawing Tom Holland in half and adding another one of him in.
Wait.
How does that?
That doesn't.
cut
Math
him
doesn't
at-
add it.
You're a math major and you've made a mistake.
I go back and check your work.
Yeah.
Listen, I failed geometry. Anyway, it's not even geometry.
That's not. This is just arithmetic.
Well, the shape.
So you
I
liked
loved
it.
it. I loved it. It was amazing.
Okay, great. John, 1 to 3 Peters.
I gave it a solid 3 Peters. Get that half bullshit out of here.
Yeah, Anthony's 1 to 3 Peters.
I would also give it 3 Peters.
Nice. Really low scale. Not a lot of room for vacillation or some sort of vagueness, but 3 Peters across the board. But 3.5 for Matt, whatever. You know. When he learns math again, we'll correct his score. Let's talk about the marketing first before we actually get to the plot. I think at least some of the consensus here would be that the marketing was not the best, but that's probably because Sony was in charge of the marketing and Marvel was just in charge of the production. Matt, marketing. We'll go in the same order. I don't care. The marketing showed all the villains that we were going to see.
Yes.
Didn't show the 2 other Peters, which was nice. But this movie wasn't exactly kept a secret. I think it was pretty obvious that everyone knew that the other 2 Peter Parkers were going to show up, if not more. Thankfully, it was just them 2. And what did you think? Did you think it was a bad idea to show the villains? Do you think it was a good idea to hide away the other 2 Spider-Men? Did you feel any sense of like surprise in the film when things happened, or did you think those trailers kind of just sold it all?
Did I
for
get a
ya?
Peter tingle at all?
Yes. And where did
Oh,
you
you
get
got-
it? Show on the doll where the Peter tingle occurred.
All right, let me pull out the doll. No, okay. Anyway, yeah. So I wasn't surprised, honestly, when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire came through in this Spider-Man movie. I really wasn't. The entire the rest of my theater screamed when Andrew Garfield first showed up, like screamed nonstop.
Well,
And I was like, okay, I totally knew this was gonna happen. Like, yeah, it's
they
cool.
just like seeing him there, you know?
It's not the fact that everyone knew it was already coming. It's just like the confirmation of actually seeing.
Actually
We also
seeing
didn't
it.
know how they were going to be appearing.
Right.
That's true.
Well, John or Anthony, what if you want to comment on the what was I saying? Advertisement of the film.
Marketing.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Ooh.
See?
They shouldn't have shown anything other than Peter and Doctor Strange were, fighting.
Yeah,
That's
fighting
the
it
only thing
out.
that they should have shown.
Oh, that fight scene was good.
The only thing that they should have marketed the movie as like what the plot was going to be was just like Doctor Strange fixing Peter's problems, and that's it. So like the first 10 minutes of the movie pretty much should have just the only thing that should have been shown.
They could have teased a lot more, like Mysterio, make it think that we're talking more about that or something.
Oh
And then
yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about how ridiculous it would be if we didn't know how Doc Ock was going to show up, and he just shows up.
I would have.
The
That would have
energy in the
scream.
theater would have been Endgame level.
Yeah.
I think I would have, if I didn't know Doc Ock was going to show up when he first appears, I would have been like, wait, what? What? Where is this movie
Yeah,
going?
exactly. Like, I had that reaction when I saw the trailer. Like, I want to see that in the theater. I don't want to see it in the trailer.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. That's a good point.
I think I was talking to John or Anthony, or both probably in that group chat we have. Sorry, Matt, you weren't invited to that one.
Well, that's okay.
That or one of us said like if it was something like an Endgame trailer where the trailer was so minimalist and so much of the Endgame trailer was just focused on the first third of the film that by the time you got into the theater, like you saw all the trailer's footage within the first half hour or whatever, and then everything else was like new material, or at least like barely seen, and that kind of cutting of the trailer and advertisement, whatever, would have been really good to see.
I think so. I think I would have been a lot more surprised if they kept it to a minimum, and I think I probably would have enjoyed having that feeling in the movie theater a lot better. I do have a
didn't take
separate
away
question.
from it.
Oh yeah, go ahead, John. What'd you say?
It's just like it doesn't take away from it the way that we knew that they're going to be there. It just the hype was just gone.
Yeah, it takes away from the excitement, you know.
The problem is that this movie was leaked to hell. The entire plot, all of the pictures, the cameos of everyone who was going to be in the movie was leaked months before.
Yeah, that's okay though. It's not like Sony's blatantly saying it that this is happening.
But like Endgame didn't have that kind of problems.
But we are in a different.
Which goes to show that Sony is not good at like anything that they do. But
well, okay, Spider-Man 2 is Matt.
Okay.
Amy Pascal found
after
dead.
Spider-Man 2.
Wait, was Amy Pascal part of the first trilogy? I don't know if she was there that early
I
on.
don't know, but she's part of this one, and she's found dead after that comment. She died. So yeah, the idea of leaks. I mean, I remember because I didn't care. I was like, fuck. Let me see the leaks just so I can see what people are talking about, so we can have this conversation now. Every leak that I read was confirmed. Every single one that I read was basically confirmed. There was a picture of Andrew Garfield in the suit with a blue screen behind him.
Oh, and he was on the railing.
Holding the railing, and everyone was like, that's a behind-the-scenes shot of like Amazing Spider-Man 2 or something. And I was like, I don't think it is. He looks older, and I'm like,
I made myself believe that.
yeah, it must be an old. So I was like, this was unfortunate that it was leaked so much, but yeah, overall, the film was still good despite knowing everything kind of going in. I wasn't generally surprised by anything, like any event that happened.
What about Aunt May dying? Were you surprised by that?
No, I knew she was gonna die because that trailer was cut so poorly. Because in the trailer, I don't know if it's the first one or second one, you see her like running through the building and it's all broken, and then it's quickly intershot with like Happy outside looking into the building, and then it's Peter like jumping for the little grenade that the Green Goblin threw, and I'm like, she's dead. She's dead. And now that you brought her up, well, did she have to die?
She did.
Did she have to? Okay, Matt, do you think she had to die? Okay. Because there was a conversation shortly after she's dead where the three Peters are talking. And Tom Holland is like, basically like, oh my God, I let her die, like, is meaningless. And then Tobey Maguire, after they all like kind of bond over the whole with great power comes great responsibility thing, after Tom Holland says, oh, she's the one who told me, they all kind of bond over it, and Tobey Maguire goes, maybe she didn't die for nothing. And I'm like, is Tobey Maguire insinuating that her giving him that piece of information is enough for her death to happen? Like, what? What was that about? Matt, you first, because you seem to agree with me that it wasn't maybe necessary for her to die.
Well, if the point of Aunt May dying was because all the other Spider-Mans had a parental figure, quote unquote, die as well to drive their story, didn't that already kind of happen when Tony Stark died? I'm just saying. He was kind of like a parental figure to
I
to
100%
Peter Parker
agree.
as well.
No.
So
Tony
that couldn't
Stark
have
was
been
the
his
mentor.
trauma.
He's the
All
mentor.
right, now Jon and Anthony, your retort. Whoever wants to go first.
The whole thing of Tony Stark dying to drive Peter's story doesn't make any sense. Like, because he's not like a father figure. He's more of like someone who's just guiding him along, right?
He's his
Like,
mentor.
He's a mentor.
He's a mentor. He's not like his dad, right? I mean, like, we know Tony kind of like tried to take on the father figure because he had like daddy issues of his own.
Oh,
But like the whole point of Spider-Man's character is that people close to him die, right? That's literally why he does what he does. So like we never got to see Uncle Ben and hear his story. Maybe we'll see it in like that animated series, right? Spider-Man freshman year or something.
yeah.
So does that mean MJ's gonna die? Like, is everyone just gonna die?
Well,
That's the ending, though. We didn't get there yet.
But like we never got any of that like origin Peter Parker story. And
the whole
like,
trilogy was the origin.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's kind of like this movie was just kind of the ending to his Spider-Man origin story in a non-conventional way.
Jon.
So like, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he said it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that Iron Man is definitely a mentor to him as someone who provided him the means to do more superhero antics. But Aunt May is definitely someone who informs what kind of hero he wants to be. So Iron Man basically just says, like, you know, be better than me, which means, like, don't be a dick. But Aunt May was basically like, you know, you should be someone who helps even those that don't maybe deserve it, like Green Goblin, like when he's all dissociated out of his mind, eating donuts and stealing them and putting them in his pocket. So I think it's interesting that she's definitely the bigger mentor in terms of how he is as a superhero, but she already imparts the lesson and he already learns it prior to her death. So her death doesn't solidify that ideal for him. He already was into that ideal. If anything, her death challenges the ideal because by the time the movie ends, spoiler alert again, Tom Holland Peter, almost kills Green Goblin for what he did before Toby saves him from doing that. So I don't know if it's exactly necessary, but I think it definitely helps because by the end of the film, everyone forgets who Peter Parker is, and to have Aunt May still be a character that's alive and to have her forget who Peter Parker is, it's just very awkward writing that plot line correctly. So I guess it's convenient that she's dead. Definitely helps. It definitely puts her as an Uncle Ben surrogate at that point. So I guess it's, you know, it fits nicely with the narrative. But to the point of this trilogy being like his origin story, I think, and we'll get back to the actual plot of the film later, but the beginning of the film really talks about Peter being, you know, unveiled to the world. And the MCU has had a history of not really caring about secret identities, and really Peter's one of the main heroes that really, at the MCU being the film universe, I mean. He's the only one that really seems to care about his secret identity because he wants to protect the people he loves. He's young. He doesn't have the means to protect them, like having, you know, high-tech security everywhere like Tony Stark would. So by the end of it, when everyone forgets it, he's very much on his own, hopefully kind of like low-grade, low-tech with his new like knitted suit that he made himself. Where was I going with this? Oh, right, yeah. So is this whole origin trilogy being these first three films, was it really necessary? Like, do you think they knew that this was where it was going to go at the beginning of writing it? Because it just seems like a messy way to get to where they wanted to go. I think the film ended in a really good place, and I'm happy about it. And I want to see what the next Spider-Man films are going to be like, because I think they're going to be really interesting. But, like, did we need to go through 3 films of all of this kind of up and down with his character, up and down with, like, the plot, just to get us to a more comic accurate Spider-Man. Matt, go first.
No, don't make me go first this time.
Okay, fine. John, go first.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Was this messy trilogy
hold on. I
necessary?
had something else before. Like
Okay.
you were saying how something about secret identities and stuff.
Yeah.
And how he wanted, because he's just a kid. He's
Yeah.
still a kid. And you even in this movie, they're like, you're just a kid, and then they attacked him and they mobbed him, right? Straight out. So like that's also another thing, that if he keeps a secret identity, then the people see him as a more superior being. I don't know.
Yeah, a masked figure, mysterious, more like a man.
A menace.
A man.
It's not Spider Boy, he's a Spider Man.
Okay.
Man.
What was the? Oh, right. You didn't need. Okay, so I think they needed the 3 movies. So the first one was Tony Stark helping him.
Mm-hmm.
He was guiding him. The second one, how does he cope without him? But then this one's actually like nailing in the point that he has to make his own decisions for himself.
Right, and he has to deal with the consequences of them.
Yep, exactly.
And they're way more grave than like in the other 2 films, I feel like.
And I felt like there's always something at stake in each act of this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. By the end,
so now Matt wants to answer the question.
I'm just following up on what John said. I'm not actually answering your question. I'm following up on what John said, because I do like how in the beginning when he approaches Doctor Strange, he's like, "Okay, I want everyone to forget that I'm Spider-Man, but accept this, accept this, accept." He tries to make all these exceptions, but at the end, he's like, "Just make everyone forget," and the decision is there, and he's taking the responsibility for himself. And it's going to impact him, and he knows that, but he's making the fatal decision for himself, and I loved that. I love that character growth for him. Anyway.
Love it. Anthony, no, sorry, John. Or Matt, you can't.
Actually, I have something on that.
Yeah.
So, what was Doctor Strange's responsibility in opening the multiverse in the first place without telling Peter that maybe he had exceptions that he shouldn't have just assumed?
Yeah, he should have made a list of things. Like, he should have been like, all right, what do you want the spell to do exactly? And then brainstorm it for an hour and then be like, okay, I'm ready to do it.
I'm just like, here we go. I'm ready now.
Doctor Strange isn't the mentor type. He wouldn't think of that.
No,
He would assume that you know what's going on. And he does that in the movie. He assumed that Peter calls the admissions office before even going to him. So he's a different kind of being.
Yeah, I mean... we have both said on this podcast that Doctor Strange has not had the best character. Maybe because he hasn't had the chance to grow yet, but right now the MCU hasn't given him any growth yet, and we're hoping that he does in the next.
Okay, but I will say, when we initially talked about this, we thought Doctor Strange was going to fuck with the timeline in order to make it so that everyone would forget Peter, not just do like his whole magical thing.
He kind of did.
Well, he kind of did by accident, but it was kind of Peter's fault. Like, we thought Doctor Strange was going to mess with the timeline, I guess, on purpose. And we were like, well, why would Doctor Strange do that? That seems kind of against his core character. But ultimately, it was like Peter's mistakes that led to that instead, which I think was fine.
Him interrupting constantly.
Yeah.
5 times.
6 times.
5.
Was it 6?
I don't remember.
No, he corrected him. It was 5.
No, but there was a thing that I read earlier today, actually, where it was like, the 6th exception was himself to remember Peter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
because at the end of the movie, if you listen, he's like, he says, "Oh, we are gonna forget you," and then he starts getting choked up. So,
he gets sad.
Yeah. So they say that the 6th exception was actually himself making an exception for himself.
Well, that would have been cute. And he fucks it up even more. Perfect.
He's too proud to admit it. He'll never say it though.
And that's what we're hoping in Multiverse of Madness, where he accepts his mistakes.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that at the end, because that's chronologically at the end. So
we already skipped all over the place here.
Listen, we're going back in. We're going back into the real plot of the film.
Listen,
Plot begins.
You have to enforce your outline.
Yeah, this is the next point.
Dom me.
This was just a small point I wanted to make. Matt Murdock appears in the film for about 2 minutes. I cried. Okay, fine. It was a
30
scene.
seconds.
It was a scene. I cried. I loved seeing him back in his suit with the glasses, and he caught like the brick really quickly, and then Peter's like, how'd you do that? He's like, I'm just a really good lawyer. I think that was lovely. I really wanted to just see one courtroom scene with him, but we didn't get it, so moving on anyway.
I don't think that adds or I don't think that adds to the movie.
I know it doesn't add anything.
I forgot he
but
was there.
There might be. There probably is like a deleted scene of that.
I would. Oh yeah, I hope there's.
thing in court because he just said that the charges won't stick, which means that it never went anywhere past like that.
Well, yeah, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't pretend to be one, and I'm not blind, and I don't fight vigilante, or I don't catch bricks. So moving on. So the second kind of the second half, the second third of the film really is about Peter going to Doctor Strange, being like, "Hey, make everyone forget that I'm Spider-Man." He fucks it up, and then basically the villains from the other universes that know Peter Parker is Spider-Man start infiltrating. Although there is some issues with this, is that do some of them actually know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man? Some certainly do, some not so much. And then conjoined with this is the trailer made it sound like Doctor Strange had said, like, they all die fighting Spider-Man, it's their fate. But actually in the film, when I listened to it, those two sentences aren't actually said together. I think Doctor Strange is referring to Green Goblin and Doc Ock, saying they both die fighting Spider-Man. It's, and then all of them fighting Spider-Man, it's their fate. So it really wasn't about whether or not they were all going to die. It's more that they all knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man. But does Electro know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man? Because I didn't rewatch The Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I'm hoping one of you two knew.
You see,
I saw it.
You see, the problem with that was Harry didn't put together that Peter was Spider-Man until the end, after Max died, and he saw him and Gwen together, and then he put it together. So he couldn't have told him. So
yeah,
that kind of falls flat a little bit.
There's timeline issues a little bit, I feel.
I'd like to just chalk it up to that it's a universe that is exactly like The Amazing Spider-Man, except for that one thing.
He was absorbing data, though, so maybe that data was telling him that Peter is Spider-Man.
Oh,
okay, you can
we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
You can make that argument.
What I thought was weird, though, is that they started pulling people from. I guess they're pulling them from their timelines.
Now we're
but
again.
What's that?
No.
Oh, because I thought it was weird that Doc Ock and Green Goblin comes through, but then they pull Tobey Maguire, or his Spider-Man, but they pull him from, I guess, a couple of years in the future after those movies, because he's talking about what happened afterwards with MJ and stuff. It could be a few years or even decades in the future, honestly, for Tobey Maguire. I just thought it was weird how they pulled him from so much further in the future than they pulled Doc Ock and Green Goblin.
Well, they were both dead at some point, so they probably just pulled them right before, they pulled them right before they died, because they don't exist further in the timeline after their death.
Okay, I can get behind that.
And I'm assuming that if you lined up Tom Holland's Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire with Andrew Garfield in a timeline sense, they're just pulling them from wherever it exists at that time, at 2021 or 2020. But, oh yeah, right. We skipped so many years because of Endgame. Wherever it is, and they just pulled them out of that. But then again, it's magic. Does it need to matter?
I guess
because that argument wouldn't make sense. Because if we're looking at the Lizard, for instance, he was cured at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 1. And he didn't die, and he was as Dr. Kirk Connors in prison. So
they pulled him before.
Yeah. So how does that work?
It was just happenstance, coincidence.
It's just magic. It's just magic.
Did Doctor Strange pull in Toby and Andrew, or did Ned just portal them?
No, I think the spell did. I think it's because people who just knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man are coming through. So villains and heroes, and then
Venom.
Ned. Well, see, Matt didn't see Let There Be Carnage, so he doesn't know why Venom's actually there.
I did not see. I'm assuming, because I know that Tom Holland was in it, so I'm assuming something happened there. I'm just saying.
Now, you remember how I told you should go see Venom?
Yeah.
And then you asked me why, and I said, just go see it.
I'm assuming Peter Parker was in it at some point, so I guess that part's spoiled for me. But oh well, I'll see it at some point.
Well, anyway,
I think I was more hyped for that post-credit than I did with Andrew and Toby showing up.
Honestly, because you didn't know.
I had no idea.
You really had no idea. Yeah, that was really good. Anyway, the villains start coming through. We're gonna just say it's magic, whatever. And then the black suit that Spider-Man wears, is that just his suit inside out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good, because I remember seeing all the promo art for it, and they're like, oh my god, this is like a new like Doctor Strange inspired suit. And I was like, is it? And then you look at it and you see like the inner wiring and shit. And I'm like, that's really neat how he legit just put it inside out. I just thought that was fun. Because he couldn't get the stain out.
It was just like a tiny, like 2-second scene. He was like washing the suit, trying to get like the green goo off, and he couldn't. So he just looked at it inside out, and he's like, "Oh, that'll work." And then they just cut immediately. And I'm
The
like,
ingenuity,
"Oh,
the ingenuity of this child.
Peter's supposed
Chef's
to be
kiss.
smart. He's supposed
like
to be a
a
very
thinker.
smart child.
Quick on his feet.
He is. He's a lovely.
literally."
Literally. So then he goes around collecting all the villains, basically, and
He's like Pokemon.
like Pokemon, just catching them. And then basically Doctor Strange is like, I'm gonna send them back now, realizing, that some of them are gonna die. And then Peter's like, no, I can't let this happen.
A rebel.
He's a child. So like this kind of, because Doctor Strange is like, you don't get it. Like there's an infinite amount of universes. Like these sacrifices are so small to protect all these people in our universe from like it all falling to shit. And he, being a child, can't see the bigger picture, especially because Doctor Strange is open to all sorts of, bigger concepts than he is. So he takes the little cube, he runs away, surprisingly gets very far, and then traps Doctor Strange into the mirror dimension.
I love
Geometry.
Does his rationale, is him being a child enough of a rationale for him making that decision?
No. I think it's the way he was raised by Aunt May.
Okay.
It's what they do.
Is that it?
I would have pushed the button if it was me.
You would have said, fuck those villains, I want them dead.
I would have said they're too dangerous, and the risks are worth more than the. What would you say the? I don't know. The risks are worth more than the benefits. Make a pros and cons list,
Well, the benefits are worth more than risking them doing the. I got what you meant. It doesn't.
Aunt May died, is what I'm trying to say. There was a consequence to that decision. If he had just pushed the button, Aunt May wouldn't have died. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We also wouldn't have a nice movie.
And then the
That's
movie.
True. The movie would just ended right there and be like,
That's
congratulations.
directed by J.J. Abrams.
Oh,
Yeah, you wouldn't have had a movie. I know. They have to create conflict. I get it.
so
The saving people is just core to Spider-Man.
Yeah, that fits his character. That was fine.
Yeah.
right.
else.
I didn't expect that though from the trailer. That was a surprise. I thought they were going to form the Sinister Six.
Yes. It's interesting, though. I mean, it really speaks to his amount of empathy that he sees these people who are objectively all evil, given that they are fucking shit up in his reality that they just showed up in. He knows that they're villains for other Spider-Man, and then he still, and not knowing them on a personal level, still wants to help them, speaks to a very empathetic
There's
person.
also a contrast, right? I think Andrew was saying how he stopped pulling his punches. And this was before his, May dies. So he doesn't have that trauma yet.
Yeah. Well, he's got trauma, just not enough apparently, because
if May had died, I think he probably would have pressed the button and killed Goblin on the spot. But
he'd been like goodbye.
Yeah, he vanished for 5 years. I think he has some trauma.
Push my
He
button.
doesn't know that. He doesn't know
guess
that.
he does. He knows he vanished for 5 years.
As
Well,
far as
for
the
him,
people
he
who
didn't realize it.
concerned, it was literally just like a second.
Yeah, he doesn't know that he lived for 5 years.
But he's got plenty of other trauma, like the loss of Iron Man. Literally every film of his, the trilogy, he is, I think, beaten the shit out of the most of any MCU person.
But Iron Man sacrificed himself, though.
That's Spider-Man. That's literally Spider-Man.
I know, but he's a child. Beat that child.
What do you want me
him
to
to
say?
death.
Beat
Beat
that
him
kid.
with a train.
Yo, fuck them kids.
Oh my god. What?
Hello.
Anyway,
Let's get back on track.
yeah, so collects all the villains, steals the cube, and then he basically he becomes a therapist. He becomes a self-help guru. May's basically like, we gotta help these people, when people need you, you have to do what you can to, make the situation better, no matter what they've done or who they are. So he basically brings them to Happy's condo, and they have like a scientist summit, and they start fixing each other.
They have a fun little powwow.
And all goes well until there's an extended Peter Tingle scene where everything starts to reverberate. The camera focuses on Peter, and it's a very long shot. I think it's too long a shot, but whatever. We're not here to discuss this.
But that adds to the awkwardness, right? It adds to the scene.
I think it's supposed to add tension, but it really it was like 5 seconds too long.
I thought he was drugged or something. I thought he was hallucinating. I was like, what's happening?
Well,
no, he was sussing out that the goblin was still there, and that Norman Osborn was hidden away in the back of that person's mind. And then you realize he's on sabbatical, and the real Green Goblin comes out, and what follows is Peter getting his shit rocked by Norman Osborn. Like, they had so many scenes of him just falling through the floors of that building. He's on like the 12th, and he ends up in the lobby. This kid is put through the ringer constantly by that fight scene, and Willem Dafoe acts beautifully in it. He gets shot later. Willem Dafoe is just laughing, his crazy ass face. And then of course this all culminates in May, getting hit by the glider unceremoniously, grenaded, dead. What do we think of him trying to rehabilitate them? Because, he wants to save them, but, like, he really takes a personal vested interest in trying to save them. Do you think was there any hope of it working? Do we think that, like, it was always going to be fucked up because Green Goblin is an irredeemable character?
No. I'm starting this time.
Go ahead. I don't care. I'm opening the question.
So I'm a big spokesperson for rehabilitating criminals. I think it's possible across the board. I'm talking about politics now. Yeah, suddenly I'm bringing this in. But no, I'm a big advocate for that. But even for a character like Green Goblin, where obviously he's got two personalities, and there's supposed to be this quote-unquote cure, which they stab him with and it doesn't work the first time, which who knows why it doesn't work the first time. Maybe he purposely fucked it up. I don't know.
I'm assuming he purposely fucked it up.
Yeah, who knows?
Or they just weren't aware of it. That's where Toby comes in.
Yeah, yes. Not sure of what was going on there. But I don't think his character is unredeemable because he does have the half of him that is, a good person, a good scientist. And, all villains in some way can be redeemed as long as they are set.
All villains matter. All villains matter.
If they're set on the right path, they need to have a certain set of conditions in order to get them there, I think. Because a lot of villains, I feel like, are just heroes in a way that are just too strong-headed, and they believe too much in their own values, and that ends up straying them a little bit too far in the wrong direction. Anywho, what do you think, Jon and Anthony?
Heroes are the villain. Oh no, villains are the heroes in their own story.
Yeah, exactly. They're pushed too far by their ideals, or at least a good villain is written that way.
What about Syndrome from? That's another topic.
Oh, for God's sake.
Go home, buddy.
Go home, buddy. No. Okay, so after that, the two other Tobys. Oh my God. Two other Spider-Men are introduced.
Two Tobys?
Two other Tobys.
Toby Henderson is the other.
Yeah, Ned is magic, or at least Ned knows how to use a sling ring now. And summons the other two Peters there by accident because,
he wanted to see Peter.
Oops. And I think it's an anticlimactic kind of showcase of the other two, especially you have Andrew being in the Spider-Man costume, jumping in, being all cool, and when Toby's showing, it's just him in like a fucking dad outfit. He looks like that John Travolta meme from Pulp Fiction where he's just kind of like looking around like, yeah, this is normal, and walks through the portal. Did anyone else find it anticlimactic? I was kind of hoping that he'd run into them like fighting the other villains or something.
See, I thought about it, but then you wouldn't really get that whole therapy session on the roof if they were just swinging and
right
in the middle of a fight. Like if Tom was fighting Doc Ock and Toby swings and helps him. Like, you're not going to have that same effect as they did on that roof. I think the music could have been a lot better. It was like the Portal song, right? When in Endgame, that hits different. There's nothing different about this. The music was very important. They didn't really do anything here.
I think if they overlaid Toby's and Andrew's Spider-Man themes, would have been really good. But
I think they did, but it was too low to hear it, so there was no.
And also, everyone was screaming in the theater. I was like, I wanna enjoy this moment. I wanna see this and hear it. And everyone's losing their shit, like just busting nuts to this. Yes, all of these fanboys and fangirls and fanbays thems, they're all like having a moment, and I'm like, I get it.
That's good.
I want people to have it. I do, but I also want to hear. I love the components of a film, so I want to hear what they put musically, what they did tonally. But anyway, that's my own problem, one of many. So yeah, they get introduced. Congrats, and then they all meet up with Peter, and they have their whole Aunt May conversation, which we kind of talked about before, so we don't have to reiterate that. But basically, you know, there's some fun scenes with all three Peters, and there's like a little bit of like comedy there where Ned tries to talk to one of them, they all respond. Very much like me at a family gathering when all three Patricks are in a room and someone says Patrick and we all go, what? It's funny. It's cute for like 2 seconds. Then it's like, tell me which one you need, and I want to go back to doing what I was doing before. And they all try to say, okay, we're going to save the villains, like Tom Holland said. We're all going to be in this together. Very High School Musical. They get all their shit. They end up going to the new Statue of Liberty, which was hinted at in Hawkeye. Very cool.
Oh, Matt hasn't seen it yet. It's a spoiler.
Spoiler, they talk about the new Statue of Liberty in Hawkeye. Sorry, Matt, you really fucked up. So they get there. They kind of plant the cures all around the building, the statue, and they just wait after Peter basically puts a call to the Daily Bugle that, hey, I'm going to be here. Come find me. Meet me on the block.
Come get me, bitches.
Yeah. And then the final fight ensues. What did we think about the final fight?
It was a therapy session. You missed the...
Oh, yes. Where all three of them are talking prior to the fight.
So good.
Andrew Garfield's character isn't feeling so amazing.
No, but he is amazing.
But he is amazing.
I got that reference. I was like, hello.
Just take it in for 1 second.
Yeah.
And then when
it's all about
Toby's like,
self-affirmation.
Oh man,
and
all these callbacks.
I think it was very good to have an older Spider-Man, very like sort of not beleaguered, but like a kind of down on his luck Spider-Man with the whole loss of Gwen Stacy and shit like that. Which, by the way, people can shit on the Amazing Spider-Man 2 all they want. I don't think it's a great film. I think though that Andrew Garfield is the best actor out of all three. I think Gwen Stacy and his relationship is the selling point of both those films. And her death scene in Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, is so well shot and so well done.
Oh, the choreography is good.
And you can hear the crack.
And you can hear the crack. And when this web shoots down, it looks like a little hand trying to grab her. That whole sequence makes up for that duo of films not being like the best. So having him be sort of like the Spider-Man that needs a morale boost, and of course he gets it from himself, from other universes, is so lovely. It's just so lovely.
I love
it.
And
then the one-liners, intro of, Toby and Andrew when they first come in, the reason that they're wearing what they're wearing is because people say that Andrew's the better Spider-Man, but Toby's the better Peter Parker.
I think Tom is the better Peter Parker.
Well, out of those two, though. Out of those two.
Yeah, out of those two, yeah.
That's fair. That's a good...
I think that's true. And I think especially with Andrew Garfield saying, like, I'm no longer pulling my punches, like, he's a little less human than he was Spider-Man.
In the lab, he also says he has no time for Peter Parker stuff.
Yeah. He's busy fighting people in mechanical rhino outfits, you know?
And being
that takes
sad.
up
and
being real sad.
He's going like full Batman on villains, just beating them to death
but in a brightly colored outfit in the middle of the day. So then the fight scene happens, and it's an orgy of CGI / maybe 1 or 2 practical effects. It's at night, which I hate because I hate when CGI happens at night because it's very hard to see. So what did we think about the quality of it? It's ace. You know.
I didn't
was
think it
pretty
was.
good.
Yeah, I didn't think it was too hard
That's
to
okay.
see.
That's all right.
It could be worse, like Black Panther fight scene.
Or like
True.
that one episode of Game of Thrones where you couldn't see shit in like what the
Also
Oh
true.
my god.
Or the first Venom movie where everything was at night and Venom, you can't even see Venom.
Oh yeah.
He's not very reflective at night.
Nope.
So the fight scene kind of happens in a whole mess in the beginning where they're not cooperating. Then they start cooperating. Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3. Then they kind of target villains one at a time. And then, you know, we get the lovely MJ scene where MJ falls off. And everyone called it after the trailer. They were like,
They shouldn't have put it in the trailer.
Yeah.
Tom Holland's not going to catch her. It's going to be Andrew Garfield. It's going to be a redemptive moment because he couldn't catch Gwen Stacy. And that's exactly what happens. But it doesn't
They
sell
called the whole movie. They called the whole movie.
But it doesn't kind of oversell or undersell that scene. Like when he catches her and starts crying, that's sad. Like I thought it was really sad.
That was a good scene though. That was very good.
And I think that just reaffirms that Andrew Garfield's the best actor of the three of them because he's so sad.
It was. He looked very sad, and I was like, oh, my BB.
Poor baby. Yeah. So what do we think about? Well, because they basically catch all of the villains. They cure them. Doc Ock comes in and he's still cured, so he kind of helps out. But really, the thorn in everyone's side was Green Goblin at the end, and it ends with Peter almost ending this man's life because of what he did to Aunt May. Do you think it would have been more powerful if he had killed him, or was it good that Toby stopped him from killing him?
I think it's good Toby stopped.
Okay.
Because that's also a good callback.
Mm.
And it shows that he can't just vengeance. They were all talking about how vengeance won't solve his problems. It won't heal anything.
Mm.
So he needed to learn that from the, Toby's stopping, and that was kind of like a good way to end it.
I think it would have been more powerful if Tom Holland's Spider-Man decided not to, instead of Tobey Maguire stopping him. That's my opinion, though.
But is it just him stopping himself, though? Because they're the same person.
If Tom Holland's Spider-Man decided...
No.
Now we're going back to Loki territory.
Yeah.
Is he kissing himself? Or...
Oh, wait, so it wouldn't be incest for the three Spider-Man.
Okay, now... Tom Holland already said in an interview, no one is interested in Tom Holland Spider-Man having sex. Except for Matt.
And then I sent the post to you guys, and I'm like, some people maybe want to see it.
Some people, Matt...
I would just like to see Tom
Matt,
Holland,
share with the class what you shared with me the other day.
Why would I do that? Okay.
Because it relates to this topic.
I had a dream, okay, before seeing Spider-Man. I had a dream that the movie started with a sex scene with Tom Holland.
Yes, Spider-Man not safe for work.
Wait. But the question is, who is he fucking?
It was honestly, it was a dude, first of all. It was some random dude. I was like, why would this be a thing? And then the movie bombed in my dream, and I was like, oh, God.
Matt texted me this unprompted, too. I don't think we were talking about anything before that. He just texted me this.
It was a dream that I had. It was really funny.
So Toby stops him. I think that's pretty nice, especially when you compare that to the first Spider-Man film where Toby lets the glider collide with Green Goblin and kill him. And then Toby gets stabbed. And there was actually a rumor, I don't know if someone sent me this TikTok or if I saw it and then sent it. Yeah, that people thought, or there might have been an alternate ending where Toby did die from that wound. And the person in the video said that would have been like a cool way to end Toby's story. And I was like, no, it would not have. Because this poor man was just dragged into the universe and then dies by a villain he already took care of. Like, that's not a good way to die. MJ's waiting for him back in their universe. I don't want that.
I wouldn't have wanted that either.
So I think this was the better way to end it. And Green Goblin gets the serum. He's apparently cured. And this all ends with, all the other people who know Peter Parker Spider-Man coming through. Very much Marvel What If. Matt, you didn't watch it, but when you do, you'll get the reference. And basically tells Doctor Strange, all right, just have everyone forget who Peter Parker is. He's like, really?
Oh.
And he says, yeah, because then no one will know.
What about all the villains did anyone catch any villains in the sky.
I saw Rhino.
Craven.
Rhino's definitely there.
But
I saw
Craven was there?
Scorpion.
Yeah, there's a dude holding
Oh.
a spear. He was like
Oh,
the
that's
most prominent
Craven.
one.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I thought that was Craven.
Next
Oh,
to him,
shit.
next to him was Scorpion, and then I think
I
someone
saw-
said Black Cat, but I didn't see it. It's
That's
just a
possible.
little bit of some
She was
weight.
supposed to be in Spider-Man 3.
Were there any
Yeah.
Spider-Verse villains?
I mean, wouldn't they be the same as?
But like the outline of them being different now.
I mean, I don't know.
Prowler, maybe
Uh,
Prowler was there. Who knows?
Oh, that would be cool.
Uh,
I think I saw
yeah.
a TikTok or some video saying Tom Holland said if they couldn't get the multiverse, Craven would have been the main villain.
yeah. Apparently, originally it was supposed to be a Craven film, and then
Thank God it wasn't.
they were
That could have
going.
been. It could have been good though. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
don't
this
know.
was good. This
Well,
was
they
I-
can still
well,
do it.
yeah,
There's
but, like,
there's a rumor going around that he's going to get another trilogy out of it, and they could still do a Craven film.
yeah. This one was a good way to kick off the be interlocked with the multiverse stuff that's happening.
Matt, are you looking at the time?
I just took a peek at it. Yes, it was 50 minutes.
Don't look at the time. We're hanging out. We're vibing.
I was just taking a peek at how long we were going for. Pat likes
So-
to shame me for trying to keep us on track in terms of the length of
Peter
our podcast.
says, "All right, get rid of," or Peter says to Doctor Strange, "Get rid of everyone, or like get rid of my memory of me, whatever." Hopefully, it also erases technological, I don't know, archives, because if not, it's gonna be real awkward when no one knows Peter Parker yet. There is all this documentation of him in files and shit. So
Well,
I
he
think
had
it
a
erases
GED
everything.
book. Yeah, he had a GED study book, so I'm assuming it took him out of the system for school too.
It's an ultimate sacrifice. No one's going to know him now. And my question, though, is because he goes to MJ and Nick. He's like, I'm going to find you two. And then I'm going to tell you who I am. And she's like, well, I'm going to just figure it out again because I'm so smart. And they're like, oh, that's cute. They have a moment. They kiss. Later on, he sees them. And after he sees MJ's little nick on her forehead, he has a realization, I shouldn't be in their lives because I just make their lives worse. Is it really his decision to make when both of them, knowing who he was prior to the memory wipe, both wanted him to tell them who he was? Is he robbing them of their choice and their autonomy by not allowing them to know who he is, even though they both are willing to know him with all the repercussions? Because neither of them are mad at him about anything that happens in the films besides him being withholding about what he's doing. They don't care that they can't go to school. They don't care that they're kind of like pariahs. They only care that he's not honest with them.
They care.
They only care that he's not honest with him, and he's now not being honest with them. Now, of course, there is the magical component of it, so they obviously would look at him like he's like, got 7 heads and like, what the fuck? We don't know who you are. We don't remember. But does his decision, while a very heroic one, rob them of their autonomy and of their choice?
That's a really good question.
I am pro-choice.
Me too.
So,
Okay.
Yeah,
Where's
yeah.
this
I mean,
going?
maybe he should at least attempt, maybe a couple times.
MJ's gonna find out anyway.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be something that happens
think-
again.
Ned might be a different case. I think MJ, because she's already getting sense that she knows this guy.
Yeah, there was that moment where she looked at him a little too long,
knows-
and I was like, is she going to go after him?
She's
And
also
she
wearing the
didn't.
necklace.
Oh, was she?
She was.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Did she just look at the necklace one day and be like, how did I get this?
where did that
Yeah,
come from?
That probably came up.
I think
Like-
that's just how it's gonna be, because it's like she'll remember getting the necklace, but in Europe with her class trip, but she wouldn't remember if she got it from someone else or who gave it to her, or if she just got
Right.
it and broke it.
Okay, but like also, someone explain the scene with Happy to me, because they're at the grave of May, right? And
Yeah.
Happy says, "How do you know her?" And he goes, "Through Spider-Man." So Happy knows Spider-Man, but Happy doesn't know that Spider-Man was Peter. But
Yes.
Happy knew that Aunt May knew who Spider-Man was. Like, what happened there? I was very confused.
It's
they wiped that
magic.
whole- they
It's like
wiped
you.
it.
It's
May
like you
doesn't know
could
who
think of
Spider-Man
it that like Happy in that instance would only know Spider-Man with his mask on. I think
Okay.
that's kind of how it's being played out. I mean, that's what makes the most sense.
Like, I think
Oh.
Happy probably thought, okay, May knows Spider-Man somehow. I know Spider-Man because of, like, Iron Man and the Avengers. We just both know him. That's probably what he thinks.
All right.
It's magic. It doesn't have to make sense. It really doesn't.
Oh, my mic.
The MCU is not known for making 100% seal tight plot lines.
Seal tight, butthole tight, everything's tight. Anyway.
Okay. Well, we're at the end of the film, which leads us into our 2 post-credit scenes, which one of them we really can't talk about because Matt did not see Venom. But, it includes Tom Hardy where he's there in the MCU talking to some bartender about, the Avengers, basically. And then, poof, he's gone, and then leaves a little sample, a little biological sample to tease Venom's future in the MCU.
A little drip
devoid
of Venom.
from Tom Hardy's Venom, presumably. And since we really can't talk about how he got there because Matt isn't up to date on everything, we'll just skip right to what I screamed at. What?
Would Tom Hardy reprise his role as Venom in the MCU?
I hope that he does. Yeah, I hope he voices Venom. I do. I don't know if he'll be Eddie Brock.
It probably won't be Eddie Brock. It could be Flash.
Yes, but I do want his voice there.
Yep.
There's a nod that Flash may inherit Venom in the MCU.
I hope so.
It annoys me.
Yeah.
Well, that's good though, because that's his character.
I don't think he deserves it.
Well,
he doesn't deserve Venom. The MCU Flash does not deserve Venom. He does not deserve to become Agent Venom.
Damn.
The Amazing Spider-Man one was okay. He had that one scene where
I don't even remember who that is.
he kind of fits the bill more. This guy doesn't really
generic white high school jock.
But the one in the first Spider-Man, he looked like he was 30.
Joe Manganiello.
Joe Manchin.
Why you gotta bring that in?
No. Joe Manganiello was Flash Thompson in the Raimi trilogy. Who he also
was he actually 30?
No, back then he wasn't. He played Deathstroke in Justice League. Well, in the post credit for Justice League or whatever film, BVS, Batman vs Superman, doesn't matter. The post credit that does matter is the last one. That was like a whole ass teaser for Mom.
Trailer. It was like a trailer for Doctor Strange 2, right?
Teaser trailer.
Multiverse of Madness. And I lived, I laughed, I loved the entire thing. I'm so hyped for this film. This film was supposed to come out first, chronologically, but then after reshuffling, it's now going to come out after Spider-Man. I wonder if they'll ever tell us why.
That makes more sense putting it after Spider-Man, after seeing what happened in Spider-Man. I think
it might be the Kraven storyline then, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
It might have been like, oh, we can do the multiverse. Let's put this first.
Yeah, and they're like, all right, put Mom later. I'll always say Multiverse of Madness is Mom. I just think it's fun. And then it just makes me think of Wanda, who's a mom in some multiverse. So basically a trailer, Doctor Strange, vibing, goes to meet Wanda. She's like on a farm, I don't know, with peach trees maybe? She's got some sort of orchard. And basically he's like, do you know about the multiverse? And she's like, do you know about that town I enslaved? And he's like, I'm not here about that, Wanda. And she's like, oh, thank God. Apparently no one cares about Westview besides
the people from
besides the people of Westview. So he's like, no, I'm not here about how you were enslaved a whole town. I'm here about a multiverse problem. What do you know about it? And she goes, well, and then it clips a bunch of scenes together, and then I don't know. And then Mordo from, is that his name, Mordo from the first Doctor Strange? His friend?
I think so.
He's back in it with a new hairdo, and then we see some weird tentacle monster, and then really the last thing that everyone screamed for was the Stephen Strange variant that looks like an evil Stephen Strange variant at the end of the trailer. What if Matt watched What If and then knew what that was about?
Nobody told me to watch What If. You said watch WandaVision and Loki,
know
which I
that
did.
All the MCU stuff. You should just watch all the Marvel stuff.
Just listen. After watching Loki and seeing all the variants in different timelines, What If becomes canon. So you have
to be fair, What If originally, like, it was technically canon, but like no one knew if it was going to matter. Now apparently it really matters.
Okay, well then I'll watch that as well. Apparently, as well as Venom.
Yes, and Black Widow,
Venom.
because you didn't see that.
Oh,
and Hawkeye.
I mean,
no.
And
Black Widow. Why should you just watch
For Black Widow, you can just watch Hawkeye.
Actually, you kind of, if you really want to skip it.
I guess so. Yeah, you're kind of right.
You can just watch this YouTube video I send you about one character and then Hawkeye. That's all you need.
I'll just watch it. I'll do it.
Thank you. So then we can have an episode about it.
But I'm watching
Lovely.
Arcane first because you guys told me to watch Arcane as well, and I'm 3 episodes in, so we're still going.
I haven't seen it.
Isn't it lovely? Isn't that
I'm
show
like
lovely?
halfway through the first episode.
Okay, well,
It took me a few episodes to get into it. I'll say that.
Because they were okay. So quick aside, they were released in triplets. So the first triplet is one whole thing. So those first 3 episodes, yeah, they do take a little bit. But those second triplets that come out, 4 to 9, are very good.
Anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, so we're talking about Multiverse of Madness. We can end it with this. Theories of the film. I mean, I've read things online
I think Toby and Andrew are gonna. No, that's not.
that I will not talk about.
I have read
because
that though, but
I have read something very strange online that I won't say in case it's real, because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But it's apparently this movie is going to be balls to the wall, very wild, very strange.
Doctor.
Pun intended. And wait, is it written / directed by Sam Raimi? Is that what happened?
It is. Yep, it is. He is directing that movie. Yep.
So I'm hoping for some like funny callbacks for Easter eggs to his trilogy. Bruce Campbell has to be in it. Yes, he does. Contractually.
I hope there's a weird montage of him dancing, doing the Spider-Man.
No, none of that.
With evil Doctor Strange.
I'm talking about real theories, people. Real things you want. What do you want to see in the film?
I do want to see that. What are you talking about?
I want to see that. That's like my top priority for Mom.
Can we get that trending on Twitter?
I want to see Wanda like fully, because the budget for WandaVision was high, but the fight scene left just a little bit to be desired in terms of the magic and how it was used. So I want to see Wanda like warp reality to her whim. That's what I want.
She needs to be Scarlet Witch here.
She's the most powerful MCU person, right? They confirmed that?
Yeah.
Currently, yeah.
Go Wanda.
Well, she's reading all those books.
She's just reading in her separate cabin.
Yeah.
I mean, good for her. Let's hope she doesn't enslave another town. I'm just saying.
She's going to go grab her children from a different reality, and it's going to break reality.
What happened to the White Vision?
Why has it got to be white?
Because he was white.
He was white. Well, that begs the question. He had the blue chip.
White blue?
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. The white blue. Yeah, the blue chip.
The blue gold. What was the dress? The white gold?
No,
black
not
blue.
Black and white.
Blue, black?
Black and gold and... No, blue and black. And white and gold.
Annie or Laurel?
Yeah, it was Laurel. Anyway, okay.
It was
Final
Laurel.
Final thoughts on the film itself and Spider-Man No Way Home. For me...
Oh, I can't make a comment about...
no, yes. If you want to talk about Mom, talk about Mom.
Oh, yeah. Can we get Bully Cumberbatch trending on Twitter?
See, I wanted a real theory. I wanted a real... No, I don't want... No. The gays around reclaiming their space and their time...
No, I disagree. If anyone is listening to this far into the podcast, go on to the Twitter and tweet at us at WDTGT Podcast. Tweet #bully Cumberbatch, and that's it.
Final thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home. When I first saw it, I was in a very bad mood and I didn't like it. But then I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh wait, that film was good. I think it's a lovely send-off for Spider-Man. I think it puts him in a great spot. I think the next Spider-Man films, however many they do, are going to be lit. I think it's great to see him in like a more low-tech costume, the shiny blue kind of material. No one knows him. It's going to be absolutely wild. John, final thoughts.
It was my favorite one out of the Tom Holland trilogy. The only bad thing about my viewing was this guy got up to pee like 3 times. And was checking his phone a bunch of times. So that was fun. But I did see it again the next day. The crowd was pretty hype, and it was good. My favorite one of the trilogy.
All right, Anthony.
I give it like the 3 Tobys.
Three Peters.
No,
3 Tobys.
3 Tobys. Toby superiority.
Yeah.
No,
but,
Tom's superiority.
Oh, no one loves Andrew, apparently. No love for Andrew in this chat.
Okay,
He doesn't have any memes against him.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, really great movie. The crowd was not hyped the second time I saw it. It was okay. It's fine. Even though going in, I knew basically everything that was going to happen. I saw the leaks online accidentally, but I still saw them. But I was still hyped. I was still hyped going in and seeing like all this stuff happen, and Andrew Garfield absolutely stole the show.
Nice.
I thought he was in that movie. I thought he was like he acted really well, and like it just goes to show that like he could have had like the best Spider-Man trilogy if they wrote his movies way better, and he could have been the one in the MCU instead of Tom Holland. But Tom Holland's still great anyway.
But if it wasn't for how bad that those two movies did, you wouldn't have Tom Holland in the MCU at all.
Well, yeah.
They were thinking of putting Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man into the MCU.
Oh, were they?
They were, yeah. It just didn't work out.
Well,
let's not forget that we'd have none of these films without Blade and X-Men. So
that's true.
You know, give
okay,
it up.
Pat, we get it.
Or like the early Batman 1990s.
With Jim Carrey?
Well, yeah. I'm talking about the modern. No, I'm talking about the modern superhero film. I'm not talking about the campy superhero films.
The Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
He was like a mixture of both campy and like modern.
That's included in the modern, in my idea of what the modern superhero film is. That's all the time we have.
Yes, Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
Oh, I forgot. I had no idea you were trying to skip over me, honestly. I was ready to go. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I was a little grumpy in the movie theater because my entire theater was filled with teenage high school boys. And they were really obnoxious. That, though? No, they need to be younger. No.
Okay.
No, jokes, everybody. Jokes for people listening to the podcast.
This is a farce.
So yeah, I was a little bit grumpy in the movie theater because of they were really obnoxious, honestly. And they clapped every 5 seconds for every fucking thing that happened. And I was like, just let me watch the movie. I just want to hear the movie. But otherwise, I loved it. It was amazing.
Such a boomer.
Post the blind. Yeah, go Tom.
Now that's all the time we have.
That is
so
all
Matt,
the time
why don't you ring out the new year? Bring us out.
Am I ringing out a towel?
Do you have the ball from
the towel? Towel.
Oh, the towel. The cum towel.
No, we didn't have to say it by name.
I got a drawer full of them.
A drawer.
Cum towers?
You don't wash them?
Oh, of course we wash them. What?
Oh, I thought you just kept them.
Wait, you think I'm fucking dirty like that? Come on.
A drawer full of Anthony's used cum towels.
Okay. Matt, sign us out.
Dirty like that.
Oh my god. All right, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the What Do the Two Gays and Two Straights Think. I am obviously your host, Matt Klubeck, along with my co-host, Pat, as well as Anthony and John, the Two Straights. Thank you for joining us. And if you don't follow us on Twitter, obviously go ahead and do that at WDTGT Podcast, where we post random things, mostly about Spider-Man in the last week or so, but we do post about other things as well. And if you like games, we do stream on Twitch at What Do the Gamers Think? That's GAYMERS. What Do the Gamers Think? We stream things like, I don't know, Phasmophobia, Sea of Thieves. What else do we stream? We stream some Minecraft occasionally.
Diablo 2 Resurrected, which we need to get back to because Jackie hates the game. Because Jackie hates it. They don't actually hate it, but I like saying they do.
And yeah, obviously, if you're on any podcast platform, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast so you can get notified when new episodes come out. And if you're on YouTube, you can go ahead and like, subscribe, or leave a comment because I like reading the comments. And I dislike when there are mean comments, so don't leave any mean comments. Leave only positive comments.
Where are the mean comments?
I ignore them usually.
Do we have mean comments though?
No, not recently. Not recently.
Oh, I want to see them.
Anyway, thank you everybody, and I am Matt Klubeck.
And I'm Matt, dreaming about the opening sex scenes of Spider-Man No Way Home. Patrick.
I am Captain America.
Oh, nice.
Wow. What are you, John?
Dead inside.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.